Now, with the clean money revolution, what actions would you suggest people take? Obviously, get a copy of your book. There's you have a blog too, right, Joel? You have your blog, you have your websites, and day to day, what do you want people doing? How can we do better?
Well, inquiry. Ask questions. Ask yourself first, where's my money? Do I own slaves? Am I poisoning babies? Am I starting wars? When I buy something, do I have any idea where it came from, who made it, what the conditions were that they worked in, what happens to the product after I'm finished with it? What's it made of? Is it dangerous? Is it toxic? Is it, when it gets disposed, what happens? So, but where did it come from, and who am I supporting by buying that product? Does this money immediately go to Nashville, Tennessee, Saudi Arabia? Where does it go? Mm-hmm. And I actually have responsibility for that, to ask those questions. So at the consumer level, at the choices about where we bank, where we buy insurance, if we have the luxury to have wealth management or mutual funds or all of those kinds of things, I think it's basic human responsibility to ask those questions. Mm-hmm. Are people suffering so that I can ... Am I okay with that? So the answers are complex and there's no easy, simple ones, but the question is really important. So therefore, the next step about money is, once we have rounded the corner and we're not just on survival mode to pay the bills, keep up with the mortgage, keep the heat on, and we start to have more than enough for basics. We may still have desires, but we're getting more and more. And we get to go out and invest the money. Well, then we start asking questions to those people that either we're investing in. What are they about? What do they care about? Do they consider these matters? Is their product considering these matters? I like to ask entrepreneurs, okay, so let's say you make $1 billion. Or let's say you succeed. How much is enough? What will you do with it? Why do you want it? Why should I support you to get it? Oh, because you're going to make me money. Okay, so, and then when I go to invest my money with professionals, unfortunately, they and we live in a system that does not yet provide many alternatives. But I believe the bearing witness is important. If I'm going to invest in industries whose practices I don't feel good about, or that I think are doing a lot of damage to places or to people or to the future, I may choose to, and I could even say have to make those choices because I don't know what else to do, or I'm in fiduciary responsibility for my university endowment or the pension fund or things like this. Those are still judgment calls, but I can accept why people make those. I feel like it's very important to examine the choices within that and ask for better products and ask for things that align with our values. So when you start getting to the scale of the trillions of dollars sloshing around on the planet right now, and the $1 trillion that are in philanthropic assets in the US and Canada right now, and the even more trillions owned by the 1% or the 5% or the 10% of us, there's a lot of karma in that. There's a lot of responsibility in that. There's a lot of impact and influence on people that we are given permission to not see or think about. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. So I'll just go back and say inquiry and conscious choices, and keep doing better. There's no perfect.
So something I personally struggle with is I love to travel, Joel. Like I love to see different parts of the world. I love going on adventures. And then I think of the airliner that I'm in and the fuel that's being used.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't feel nearly as fun, really. Well, what suggestions would you have for somebody like me? Because most people get on airplanes at some point.
Well, I'm particularly egregious because my definition of my work, I come up with a rationale that has me in a lot of airplanes and doing all kinds of things that aren't perfect. And the way that I think that through is, well, there are things, there are mitigation, there are, let's say we feel like we've done somebody wrong and we do something in restitution. You might go serve a jail sentence.
Right.
To pay back society for what you did. We don't really have a system to require us to take any responsibility for most of this stuff, as long as we don't get caught by the law in some way and can't buy ourselves through that. So in the case of carbon and influence on the atmosphere, we at least have the ability to offset and invest in things which I would say pay triple or 10 times the value, as if you really want to try to make it up, like make advances. Don't just, these formulas are kind of funny, but I do double, we do double carbon credit offsets for our travel. Is that really, I don't know yet. We don't, who really understands fully what carbon offsets mean and how that system works, but at least participate in the things that do help that. And the airplane thing, I know they're getting more efficient and they're under a lot of pressure themselves and they're building better and things like that. But it is it's possibly going to be a very short time in human history where this was possible. Mm-hmm. Possibly. And I have to go through my own moral assessment of, is the reason I'm flying, am I committed that is in some kind of service to higher good? Now, pleasure traveling, I can rationalize everything.
Well, and also like we're traveling a lot through things like we're doing today, like Zoom and Skype, and there's many other ways now. So I really, with business travel, with presenting, I know it's not the same as us being in the same room. We feel each other's energy differently. I just have to say this. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's a big mess that's being created and continue to be created. We're in serious trouble as civilization. And some of my closest friends who spend their time on climate issues went through a period and I cannot travel. I cannot do this because it's too and I say, you're the last one who should do that. You need to get out there. Your life is committed to working on these intractable, deeply complex challenges that most people are just not even paying attention to, and many people are accelerating those problems. Right. So we're in a very complex time. So anytime you try to simple down these things, it gets excruciating. There was a period in my life where I'm going to go be a monk in a cave, and I'm going to wait till people bring me food. And you can go into a spiritual practice that takes you out of ever killing anything that you except a bacteria or something. And you can do these practices, and I think those are important. And it's good that there are people who decide to be holy people who do those practices. But right now, it's something like, I don't have to carry a gun and dress in combat clothes
to defend and protect my family and my land. However, there's something even worse underway, which is this other kind of less obvious to us devastation, destruction, crushing of lives that's going on my behalf right now, and in the products. I'm looking at an iPad, where those minerals come from, where that thing will go, who will take it apart, what's the toxicities. It is such a complex time that if it helps one to go very simple, then that's a great practice and it serves the world. Some of us, I believe, have got to be peace warriors.
Right.
We've got to check ourselves, and we've got to do practices to be sure I'm not just using it as a nice glossy excuse. But there's how you travel, there's how you be a tourist, there's what you do when you travel, what you do with your life work, what you do with all of your power and privilege and things. And I think it's game on. It's game on now. And I'm not going to call it a war. I'm going to call it a great struggle for the soul of humanity. And I don't know what the rules are in that. I don't know. Is it bad for the Dalai Lama to travel and teach because of carbon? These are the great questions of our time. Mm-hmm. So guilt is not very helpful except as a teaching tool. Obliviousness is not very helpful except as a salve. Examined life. Ask questions. Do your best. Be sure that you're all in on what matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else, Joel, that you would like to add that you feel is just that people need to feel, that people need to experience?
I don't know that it's new. I just want to say we need to really understand that we came from a long lineage of people that, if we're lucky, we know 4 generations back. I don't know 4 generations. Maybe there's people that spend their life on this and they know 7 generations back, but there were 700 generations probably. We don't even know what those people went through to make life possible for us now. We better feel urgency that our time here makes it possible so there's 700 more generations. Otherwise, just have a party. Yeah.
Sure.
And I guess the last thing is thank you so much for how much heart and caring you put into this, and for indulging me to share my ideas and thoughts today.
Well, thank you so much for your brilliance and your depth and your articulation of what is needed. I'm excited about your book and about the kind of the energy around it. And I'm really hoping that it is completely contagious. So thank you, Joel. Thank you, thank you, thank you.